community meeting and public comment portion of our meeting tonight to order. And as a result of legislation Act 93 in 1998, there's an opportunity for district residents and taxpayers, or as Dr. Kirian likes to call them, stakeholders, to speak at board meetings. That will be done tonight. And we have a sign-in sheet, which I'm glad has been brought forward. And we'll do that following the roll call. Mrs. Dora, thank you.
Mr. Casey? Present. Mr. Donahue? Mr. Duffy?
Present.
Mr. Martinelli?
Here.
Mr. McCain? Present. Mrs. Zaleski? Present. Dr. Warner? Mr. Sheridan?
Present.
Mr. Dwight?
Present.
7 present, 2 absent.
Do we have any of our normal elected officials, in particular, Mr. Hetman normally pays us a visit at these. Is Gerard Hetman from Blackburn County with us tonight? If not, then I'll move immediately to our sign-in sheet.
Mr. President?
Yes.
If I could, I think we want to first have a public comment about the board executive session, if I could just
I'm
for a
sorry.
brief moment.
Please do.
Okay. The executive session, which was held this evening from approximately 6:30 to 7 p.m. Discussions involved real estate, personnel litigation, student discipline matters, and labor relations. Thank you.
Thank you, Attorney Miller. And I'd now like to move to our speakers portion and our sign-in sheet. I'll start with Ms. Rosemary Boland, President of the SFT. Would you like to come forward to the lectern? Rosemary.
Sure, thank you. Good evening, directors. My name is Rosemary Boland. I'm president of the Scranton Federation of Teachers, Local 1147, AFL-CIO. I'm glad we're here this evening, and I'm glad we listened to the descriptive of our new superintendent, Dr. Kirian. I'm here to address several other matters, and one of the pressing matters is that we have several board grievances filed. They have yet to be heard since April, May, and June. And pending not hearing from the board, my intention is to move those grievances to arbitration. I do that hastily because time is of the essence. So if you're going to discuss something with me, somebody better get in touch with me ASAP. Otherwise, it's going to cost the district money, and I see from Mr. Sunday's presentation we should be a little conscious of that. Second, in your board packet tonight, you're talking about renting St. Mary's Church School and paying an additional rental fee when you have a building in West Scranton called Lincoln Jackson. You own it. Why are we paying rent on a building when we own a building and we could house the students in that building? Why are we wasting that kind of taxpayer dollar? Third, I'm going to address something that came up last week at contract negotiations. Several documents were handed to us. One of the documents handed to us came from Mr. Menorah. All three of them actually came from Mr. Menorah, your chief negotiator. And one of those documents was what Mr. Menorah said, president of the AFT, Randy Weingarten, supposedly was suggesting that the Scranton School District et al. Get rid of the ER&D Professional Development Program. I spent the afternoon speaking to President Weingarten. I can assure you on behalf of President Weingarten, she most certainly did not say that. She doesn't suggest it. And for anybody to suggest that, it's an out-and-out lie. And/or reading comprehension skills are not very apparent. I'm not happy about this. That is an AFT copyrighted program, and the Scranton School District was one of the first to include this in our contracts. It has proven itself repeatedly, and it is the opportunity for newly hired teachers to take advantage of getting college credit courses done as they move towards their 24 credits and their level 2 certification. So this is abhorrent that anybody would dare say that Randy Weingarten, president of the American Federation of Teachers, would say that. As a matter of fact, President President Weingarten is going to answer this in writing, and she will get it to me immediately. And that's because she's on vacation, and she's still going to get it for me. Second, we have in our collective bargaining agreement since 1969, class size. 1969, 45 years ago. For anybody in this room to suggest that we increase class size in all classes is unconscionable. You're charged with protecting the health, safety, and welfare of the children in the Scranton School District. That is our charge. It is your charge. To put desks in classrooms that can't even move, or the children can't even move about, while at the same time we are currently writing curricula to keep up with the standards of the state and nation, is misguided and it's poor judgment. But most importantly, it affects the education of the children, and it most definitely affects their health, safety, and welfare. I want to see anybody put 35 3-year-old children in a classroom and do that job. I'm at this longer than most. I know what it means to teach classes that are above that number, and so do you, Mr. Martinelli, and so do you, Mr. Dwyer. And for anybody to suggest that's anywhere near reasonable is absurd. It's inane. Third, I just listened to Mr. Sunday give his presentation regarding health care. Our health care costs have been very well managed. This year is an anomaly. Why do I say that? Because just from the information I have been able to get, I know for a fact that some of the numbers are what they are because for one number is due to the fact that we have 2 premature children born this year to members of this district. I don't know who those members are. I know they had premature children, and I know there's a bill for that. And I also know we have stop-loss insurance, and we pay for that. Am I supposed to say to somebody, well, too bad? Is that what I'm supposed to say to a new mom and a new dad? Too bad for you? Why am I doing that? I wouldn't do it for my own family. And this is what I'm being told. We use our insurance in an emergency situation. Catastrophic illness is included, and we have a stop loss. So we need to take a better look at that figure. A better look indeed. And right now I'm saying I'm going to invoke the clause in our collective bargaining agreement, and I'm going to demand this district call an insurance committee meeting where all members are included in the discussion about health care in the Scranton School District. We are the only people in Lackawanna paying for health care, and we are paying through the nose, and we have paid this district over $8 million too much from 2002 to 2008. And that's a fact. Next, if anybody wants to challenge any of the figures that we were given the other day, I'm one of them. We had 74 teachers retire from the Scranton School District, 30 last year and 35 this year. Do you have any idea how much you've saved because of salary reductions? Teacher salary reductions. When a person leaves, they're leaving at top end. When they're hired, they most certainly are not hired at top end. You are saving because of the fact that teachers and paraprofessionals in the 1147 union retired. You have realized those savings for several years now, and all of a sudden, I don't know where this money is evaporating. But this is going to stop. The suggestions that I was given the other day, which, by the way, I will say to you as a school board, if you're going to send your negotiators in, they bloody well better have it in writing, and they better cite the contract article and where they want to change language. I'm not listening to any of this off the top of your head stuff where there's nothing in writing. There's a way to do collective bargaining, and that's not it. And I know how to do collective bargaining. I know how I have to present my documentation, and so does this district. And to come in and say to me, well, we're just going to give you our notes. No, you're not. And as a matter of fact, just so we're clear, the mediator, Mr. Healy, informed the district they have to put their articles in order in writing. That better happen. And nobody in this district better suppose that all of the debt with pensions has something to do with the teachers in this district, or the paraprofessionals, or the maintenance workers, because we all know the truth, don't we? We know that in 2000, the Pennsylvania legislators gave the districts and the state a free ride. Now the bill is due. That's not my fault. I pay my bills on time. The districts and the state didn't pay their bills. Not only didn't they pay their bills, they didn't even know enough to put money aside because they should have known that the bill was going to come due. Well, the bill's due. And now everybody's sighing and wringing their hands. Oh, woe is me. Where am I going to get that money? Well, let me just state for the record, the workers in this district, as in every other district in this state, pay their contribution to their retirement. They continue to pay it every time they get a paycheck. You get a paycheck, Mr. McAndrew. Your money is taken out of your check towards your pension. Yes, it is. Correct. Is that your fault that they didn't pay the bill? No. It's the fault of the people doing the finances. Not to even put 1 25-cent quarter in the bank. And now all of a sudden, we are in catastrophic condition. That doesn't happen like that, and we all know it. And I take offense, personally. I know that's not supposed to be. It's always on the news. Don't take it personally. Well, I do take it personally when numbers are given to me that are not correct. I am a math person. So are most of the people on my negotiating team. We take offense. This is an insult to every teacher in this district that we would be presented with such a heinous situation at this point in time. You've insulted every teacher and every paraprofessional in the Scranton School District by giving us the suggestions that we were given the other day. And I don't even know what they are. I have not exceeded my time, Mr. Chair.
Excuse me, I believe your time is up.
All right, my time is up. Where is that written down now?
It's in the...
Did you promulgate that?
Section.
Is that promulgated somewhere, or
in
did
the
we just
section.
make this up tonight?
No, it's in the...
It's in the what?
It's in the agenda.
That, the agenda is not something you promulgated. You want to make a rule, then you better publicize the rule.
We've always had a rule.
No, you have not always had a rule. I'm here a lot longer than you were. Yes. Call your next speaker then.
Thank you, Ms. Boland. Next speaker on our sheet is Mary Delmar from the Scranton Federation of Teachers. Mary?
I donate my time. She needs more time, and she can have my
Thank
you, Mary.
Thank you, Mary.
So, I would like to suggest a calm approach to this situation where we're doing collective bargaining in the Scranton School District, something that has always worked. I strongly suggest the Scranton School Board sit down, figure out what it is you need to do to deal with your workers in this district, and please don't say to me, come to work and we're not going to pay you. Don't tell me that. I'm not going to accept that, and I don't know any labor union that would do that. I don't know any workers who would do it. I would not expect people who work at McDonald's or people who work at Boscov's to go into work and not get paid. I would never expect that. I wouldn't do that to the workers. So, in times for collaboration and teamwork, bravo. Dr. Kirian certainly laid out a bold plan. I'm a teacher. I've done it a long, long time. Mr. Martinelli was a teacher. Mr. Dwight was a teacher. Dr. Kirian used the 100%. I would suggest that that's not going to happen. 100% isn't going to happen. And I don't know how hard we could work, but we're not going to make it happen, not 100%. I think we should strive forward. I think we should do our best for our students. I think my students would be able to stipulate to that, but not 100% of my students would be scoring proficient. And I dare say anywhere in the United States of America, you're not going to have 100% of the students scoring proficient on the state examinations, particularly in light of the math program we use in our district. So, we invite you, the Scranton Federation of Teachers invites this board to communicate your desires to your negotiating team, because we are meeting on the 20th of this month, which is next week. And I have a general membership meeting scheduled for 1 p.m. next Thursday. And I'm hoping that common sense will prevail and somebody better take ownership of what was presented to us last week. Because now I have the attention of the American Federation of Teachers. I have the attention of the American Federation of Teachers Pennsylvania, for which I serve as the Executive Vice President. And I have the attention of the AFL-CIO, for which I serve as State Vice President. I say this to you in all earnest. Treat your employees fairly, and we will work as diligently as we can and productively as we can, and we give you our word on that. Thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you, Ms. Bull. Our next speaker is Tanya, is it Darns? She left? Our next speaker then is Patrick Festa of the Scranton Federation of Teachers.
Mr. Dwight, my points have been made, so I'm going to just get the speaker in. Thank you.
Thank you, Patrick. Miss Amy Trapani, our next speaker. Thank you, Amy. Jennifer Zaleski.
Yes, my points were already reiterated. Thank you.
Thank you, Jennifer. Matthew Loftus.
Matthew Loftus, citizen and taxpayer in the city of Scranton, and also an SFT vice president. I would like to point out that we're here tonight to ask the board for a fair contract, and when we look at numbers, projected numbers, those are just that, projections. It's easy to make a mistake, and not saying it's intentional, but those projections are not necessarily fact. And when we're at the negotiating table, we've been given some figures from 2014. Again, they may be relevant in 2014, but we're in 2015. So I think what we need to do is sit down and look at the finances and look at how those projections were arrived at before we could even begin to discuss a contract. The other thing I wanted to point out, last year we did fact-finding, and to summarize the fact-finder's report, he found in favor of the Scranton Federation of Teachers, and this was an impartial fact finder appointed by the state, on most issues, if not all issues. And at that time, he basically instructed the district to sit down with their finances and prepare for the future. He felt a one-year contract was giving the district time to get their finances in order, to prepare to deal with labor in the city in a fair way going forward. And that's not what we're getting at the bargaining table at this point. Additionally, in the past, we've been given at the bargaining table a similar financial picture for the district, and every time after the bleak picture is presented to us, there are new employees hired, there are raises given out, sometimes as high as 10%. The new schools are opened that serve a very limited population and are financially questionable. We have busing contracts that are renewed at excessively high rates. We end up with situations where a board passes policy that nobody will travel outside of state for professional development, yet it happens despite those policies being on the books, along with a number of other things that really should not be happening. Additionally, there was a board policy passed, a motion made by former President Bob Lesch, who suggested that all savings from healthcare dating back now 3 years would be used to fund union contracts in the city, and that passed unanimously and was never undone by any school board. So I'd like you to consider all of those things as you come up with a fair offer for labor in the city of Scranton. Thank you.
Ms. Tammy McHale?
Ms. Boland addressed my concerns, thank you.
Thank you, Tammy. Mr. Case, Kevin Case?
Good evening, directors, and welcome, Dr. Kurian, again to the district in your first board meeting. This is going to be something you've all heard before. I believe all of you have heard it before. I've provided notes to you in the past, copies of audits of 2 state auditor generals, Jack Wagner and Eugene DePasquale, copies of the pages, the relevant pages, pertaining to the Auditor General's reports, your own audits. These are from, Barbetti and Company, and pointing out the excesses that are being paid for transportation costs. The Auditor General's, after 2 2-year performance audits, so a 4-year period, one Auditor General in February of 2012 strongly suggested that the board bid out contracts because you would save millions of dollars. That those monies could go toward education and not toward a contractor who's they're saying is getting paid anywhere from 3 to 5 times the state formula for transportation costs. 3 to 5 times the state formula. I wonder if the drivers of these buses and vans are getting paid 3 times the usual rate. I don't see how the service is worth 3 to 5 times the going rate, even if the buses are new. After 2 state auditor generals, in the same month that Jack Wagner issued his report, this district renewed the contract for one busing contractor for 5 years. It was kind of like, we don't care what you say, Mr. Wagner. And then Mr. DePasquale came along and did another 2-year performance audit and said, you didn't follow my predecessor's suggestions to bid it out. And he suggested that you bid those busting contracts, and he cited. So over a period of 4 years, there was $7 million that they noted was in excess over what they should have been paid, wasted. Based on that, I went and started to look at subsequent years and the audits that you have for the district. And I found that over a 7-year period, $17 million of excess, total waste of taxpayer funds was paid out. And I pointed that out. I think I came before the board 3 times. And I thought for sure everyone on this current board would get it and would act accordingly. That after 2 state auditor generals who had suggested bid your contracts, and after I had, I thought, well, maybe they didn't see them. I know you have lives. You're busy with other things. Maybe you didn't see those auditor general reports, but you did see them. Finally, I know you saw them. I put them in your hands, packets with all of the numbers spelled out, official documents, copies of the official documents. So I highly expected that you would, in fact, pass maybe a resolution saying, let's bid out our contracts. Let's do it to save the taxpayer dollars. The shirts that the SFT are wearing, on the back it says standing up for public education. I would hope to see a district that would stand up for public education. What I'm seeing is the district standing up for private contractors. Private contractors are getting unbelievable amounts of money. And it's unconscionable that that continues. And I just learned not too long ago that a couple of months ago you renewed the other contractor's contract for 5 more years. Now, I did hear that there was a 20% savings being realized. That's sounds nice. It sounds really, really nice. Except the prior year that was audited, the last year audited, showed over a 30% increase in costs for transportation. So if you save, if the numbers run up by over 30% one year, and then the following year you drop it by 20%, well, you're still, at least 10% over the already inflated rate of 3 to 5 times the going rate. I'm frankly disgusted. I really hoped that something better would be done, especially when there's all of this talk about deficits, about lack of funding coming from the state. I thought for sure there would be better fiscal controls put in place. The last thing, just in defense of our unions, looking back at 2011, one of your audits, or gleaned from one of your audits was, and from our union dues, 100 times what we get in union dues is what our teacher salaries are. $42 million. The following year, because of retirements, it went to $38 million. You afforded it in the 2010-2011 school year. You were able to afford $42 million for teacher salaries. The following year, it was $38 million. So there was a $4 million savings there. The year after that, it was 39. So there was still a $3 million. The year after that, it was 40 million. So it's still a $1 million. So over that period of time, several $1 million were saved compared to 2011. The year after that was the first year, I think in 4 or 5 years, that we actually went over the 2010-2011 school year because of retirements. So all of this money that was saved, was squandered then on busing contracts. Not all of it was yours, but what's coming up in this, with this new one. Now, the other contract, I think, goes on until 2017. I would hope that in 2017 you would consider. I would hope that someone would, tonight, would make a motion that from this day forward, the Scranton School District will bid their service contracts. Why wouldn't we do that? I need it, if you can't do that, I need an answer why you can't. As a taxpayer and as a member of the SFT. I need an answer. Why can't you bid those contracts? Why is it impossible? Especially since 2 state auditor generals have suggested that you do so. I thank you for your attention, and I hope you have a good evening.
If I may, just 1 minute. As the chairman of the Transportation Board, it's been discussed numerous times since we received those packets that when 2017 comes, they will be put up. There's no dispute in that. I don't think any of us had a question about that. So when that happens in 2017, when that contract comes up, it will be put up.
And can I ask why the small van service contract was not put up for bid 2 months ago?
We opened that up, as I say, to look at ways to save money for the district within their contracts. Is that correct? Anything else?
Why wasn't it?
We had another year on it, so we were able to save money within the existing contract. The increase is due to increased utilization, not increased cost. There's a lot more kids taking that particular mode of transportation. So we did save money, both overall and if you look at it on a per student, per-student basis. So we were able to save, I think, close to $500,000. Is that right, John?
For the vans?
For the vans.
It'll be 200,000 in this.
Sure, 200,000, I'm sorry. And then we consolidated the busing runs by staggering the start times on the other contract. What was the savings on that?
Over $1 million.
Over $1 million.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Keith. Leslie Lemke, Grant
My
Federation?
concerns have been addressed, thank you.
Thank you. That exhausts our signage sheet. Now, if we move to the next portion of the meeting, I'm going to just take a few minutes for some remarks myself. This summer, we've had a series of unusually sad occurrences that the city of Scranton and its populace have had to deal with. We had the tragic loss of a police officer, young man, Officer John Wilding, whose wife is one of our kids, one of my former students, Kristen Tanzitz. Their children attend our schools. We've had a former teacher, really a wonderful professional in this district for, I believe, 40 years past, Eleanor DeVinny. Two of our former teachers, Joe and Bart Gamatoni, two retirees. Joe Sr., the elder, Mr. Gamatoni, passed this summer, and longtime teacher and coach in the district, Tom Lewis. He lost his beloved wife, Glynis. So I would like to ask for everyone to observe a moment of silence and hopefully our sympathies. Thank you. Now, I say this because of the extreme sadness of this kind of loss. The district suffered two of its children losing their lives this year. This summer, Serena Caramano, who would be a freshman at West Scranton High School, and Mackenzie Evanusa of Scranton High School. She'd be a senior there. Both these young ladies lost their lives this summer. So again, I'll ask everyone for another moment. Thank you so much. Now, on a lighter note, this week started the beginning of the fall sports season. Our fall sports teams started the practices this week. And I want to congratulate and thank Joby Fawcett, sports writer at the Scranton Times Tribune, for a great article on the fact that the Scranton High Knights are going to honor and celebrate 25 years of the merger of the Tech and Central football programs with a special memorial helmet and decal, and they'll be celebrating this entire season. As someone who taught at Central, coached at Central, and likewise at Scranton, it's certainly meaningful to me. And of course, as someone who taught 17 years on the west side, I want to also make sure that we wish the best to our kids. It'll be wearing blue and white this fall. Not just football, but cross country and tennis and all the other fall sports that are coming forward. It's an exciting time of year, and we wish them all the best. And from that, I'll pass the microphone to the superintendent.
Thank you, Mr. Dwight. Today marks our 3-week countdown to the first day of school. We're gearing up for our students' successful return on September 3rd. Across the district, our employees are on the job to ensure a positive education experience for students, and I thank you for that. And of course, we continue to work with our teacher union and maintenance unions to finalize contract negotiations in the spirit of teamwork and collaboration. I'm very optimistic about our progress to date. To students and parents, I don't want to rush the end of the summer break, but get ready for the learning, growth, and discovery that your teachers and principals are planning for you. I ask that you be present on the first day of school and every day thereafter. Get involved and ask for help when you need it. Don't forget that our school starting and dismissal times have changed. High school start time is 8:10 a.m. and dismissal is 2:50 p.m. Intermediate school start is 8:50 a.m. and dismissal is 3:50 p.m. Elementary school start time is 8:10 a.m. and dismissal is 1:55 p.m. In the district, we're opening the schoolhouse doors again for approximately 10,000 bright-eyed boys and girls. If we work together, all of us, every one of them will have a productive and a memorable school year. Mr. Dwight.
Thank you, Dr. Kirian. Now we're going to move to approve the meeting minutes from May 26th, 2015, June 1st, 2015, and June 15th, 2015. Dr. Kirian, you suggest we do this by a voice vote or by a roll?
A voice vote.
I move to approve the meeting minutes of May 26th, 2015, June 1st, 2015, and June 15th, 2015. All those board members in favor, please signify by saying aye. 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 Nay. The ayes have it. The meeting minutes are approved. And I would like to now refer to Dr. Kirian approval of the consent agenda.
I will be presenting the consent agenda to the board members. Agenda number B-1 from our Finance Division. Treasurer's report for period ending April 3rd, 2015, May 31, 2015, and June 30, 2015, as prepared by the business office and confirmed by the First National Bank. The monthly treasurer's report is a financial picture of the activity for the monthly period and only a representation of the month that is stated. The superintendent requests board approval of the treasurer's report for the month ending April 30th, May 31st, and June 30th, 2015. B-2, finance once again, delinquent tax report for the month of April 2015, May 2015, and June 2015 as collected by the Lackawanna County Tax Claim Bureau as attached. The delinquent tax report is prepared for the month of April, May, and June 2015, shows net return to the school district of $1,037,628.07. The superintendent requests board approval of the delinquent tax report for the months April, May, and June 2015. B-3, Finance, Community Eligibility Program, addition of Morris Prescott Tripp, West Scranton Intermediate School to the CEP program. The enrollment of these schools in the Community Eligibility Program will ensure that all elementary and intermediate students of the Scranton School District are offered a healthy breakfast and lunch free of charge. The addition of these schools to the program already in place at the elementary and intermediate buildings will not negatively impact the guarantee proposal by Aramark for the upcoming school year. The superintendent recommends board approval to expand the CEP program to the remaining elementary and middle schools. D-1, type general purpose. The renewal of this agreement between Penn Foster and the Scranton School District for Cyber School. Today's education environment calls for a need to offer students credit through Cyber School. The Scranton School District has been offering these services through Penn Foster. We will continue to do so in an attempt to be as proactive and flexible in terms of student needs while being fiscally responsible. The superintendent recommends the board approval to continue to offer additional learning opportunities for students. D-2, again, general purpose. The West Scranton Art Club is planning an out-of-state field trip. It has been Scranton School District's administrative policy to request and grant board permission for such a trip. The trip would be to Beacon, New York to visit the Dia Beacon Museum. The trip is planned for Friday, October 9th, 2015. There will be 44 students and 5 chaperones included in the trip. The policy has been to the board for approval to allow these students to travel out of state. There would be no financial impact to the district. The superintendent requests board approval for the field trip as it provides additional learning opportunities for the West Scranton High School Art Club students. I-1, policy. Governor Wolf enacted House Bill 1276 into law on June 2nd, 2015, clarifying changes to the state child abuse laws which were enacted in 2014. House Bill 1276 is Act 15 of 1215. Vaporized smoking devices must be addressed in the district's current tobacco policy. A procedure has been developed by the staff to address volunteers working with students. A procedure has also been modified by senior staff to address vaporized smoking devices. The superintendent recommends the board approval per the requirement of Act 15 and approval of a change to the district's existing tobacco policy. Policy, again, this is due to the highly specialized nature of the educational process at the district's center-based programs that additional interviews will be held to determine teaching appointments for these centers. Candidates to be interviewed will come from the appropriate list as complete through the Walton Plan. Appointments shall be made as a result of both interviews. This will help to ensure that our center-based programs are adequately staffed with qualified, trained, and experienced personnel. The superintendent recommends board approval. Another from personnel. This is the personnel report: certified appointments, certified resignations, leaves of absence, and non-certified resignations. The superintendent recommends board approval. Personnel, permission to attend meeting and conferences, renewal of mandated training and ongoing professional development are recognized as best practices and necessary for Scranton School District employees. Please accept and consider the included permissions to attend. They have been reviewed and been recommended by the senior executive leadership team. The superintendent requests board approval of staff attendance to conferences and meetings for professional development relevant to their specific duties and responsibilities. Personnel again. The eligibility list for the special education categories of autistic, center-based emotional learning and life skills be adopted as submitted to ensure that the special education department is adequately staffed for the upcoming school year. The superintendent recommends board approval. M-1 Buildings and Grounds. Neil Armstrong Elementary Kitchen Floor Replacement awarded to D&M Construction. The kitchen floor has been subsiding to the point where it has become a danger to students and staff. The superintendent recommends board approval of this item due to the needed improvement in the school for safety of our students and staff. M-2, hollow metal doors and hardware replacements at West Scranton High School Auditorium, awarded to Jerry Gantz Incorporated. The doors at the auditorium of West Scranton High School were the original doors. They are over 70 years old and no longer secure. The replacement of the doors aren't needed to ensure student safety. The superintendent recommends board approval as it is reported safety and security issues exist at the school with the current doors. M-3, award paving project at Charles Sumner School to Farber and necessary change orders. The Charles Sumner School parking lot is in need of paving to accommodate faculty and staff parking. The paving contract has been awarded to Farber at a cost of $112,901,000. The change order includes Number 1, costs associated with demolition of metal railings and concrete footings, additional subbase and asphalt, and installation of a handicap accessible ramp. Costs associated with repair of deteriorated concrete on ramp and entrance of North Sumner Avenue. Costs associated with the removal of unsuitable material under the subbase to be replaced with stone, aggregate, and roller compact for proper subbase support. The superintendent recommends approval of this item. M-4, change order for Bancroft Elementary roof replacement project for the cost of replacing the ventilation units on the roof. 7 ventilation units were completely rotted and needed to be replaced to ensure student safety. The superintendent recommends board approval of this item. And M-5, change order step replacement project at Willard Elementary School to reduce the existing plus step up into the building. Saw cut, remove, and dispose of blacktop, install 4 inches of 2B stone and finish with 4 inches of reinforced concrete on grade. The superintendent recommends board approval of the change order to expedite the completion of repairs prior to the opening of school. M-6, renewal of the agreement between Bethel AME Church and the Scranton School District for parking spaces for faculty and staff of Northeast Intermediate School. Northeast Intermediate no longer has a dedicated parking area for faculty and staff. The Scranton School District has an ongoing relationship with Bethel AME Church because of its parking availability and close proximity to the school. This has worked well for both parties in the past, and as we approach the start of the school year, the process of renewal is necessary. The superintendent requests board approval of this agreement due to the necessity of parking for our faculty and staff at Northeast Intermediate. Renewal of the agreement M-7 between Cooper Seafood and the Scranton School District for parking spaces for faculty and staff of Northeast Intermediate School. Northeast again no longer has a dedicated parking area for faculty and staff. The school district has an ongoing relationship with Cooper Seafood because of the close proximity and availability to the school. The superintendent requests board approval of this agreement due to the necessity of parking for faculty and staff of Northeast Intermediate School. M-8, renewal of the agreement between New Life Assembly of God and the Scranton School District for renting the facilities that are used by Lincoln Jackson Academy. The Scranton School District has established an alternative school program for disruptive youth. This program has been housed at a location owned by New Life Assembly of God. The district has leased this property from New Life for several years at the above listed rate. This has worked well for both parties in the past, and as we approach the start of the school year for 2015-16, the process of renewal is necessary. The superintendent recommends approval of this agreement in order to support the alternate education program. N-1, Special Education and Support Services, request to continue the agreement with the until June 30th, 2016 with Friendship House to meet the required evaluation compliance timelines for students with disability for educational planning. The superintendent recommends the board approval of this contract to support the district's special education program. That concludes the consent agenda, Mr. Chair.
Carrie, do you recommend a roll call or a voice vote?
For this, we recommend a roll call, sir.
Mrs. Zork?
Mr. Casey?
I'm sorry, I have to raise the question of what happened to our committees? Why are we reading, the superintendent's reading the meetings that we've already built to have? Finance, building and grounds, personnel, transportation, I mean, I'm sorry, this is new to me tonight. to
Well,
see.
this is a consent agenda.
But all of our, it's all
We never read
consent,
the
personnel was
consent
never in a
Yes,
consent
it was.
agenda.
Yes, it was.
This is our whole agenda, this is our whole meeting.
Well, no, there's also a consent, a non-consent agenda. One resolution.
One resolution and non-consent, everything else is under
One
consent.
consent.
I just wanted one record that I disagree with this.
I'm just saying, we never read the consent agendas. We just took a roll call. We just took a roll call and accepted the whole thing.
Right, it's, exactly, I
But
understand
we
that.
never read it.
Tonight she chose to read.
Tonight, that's it.
And that is the format, and Mr. Casey, I'll ask you collaboration here, that's the format that they follow at the IU.
Yeah, you did read every.
The superintendent reads them all. It's, I mean, if you're more comfortable with reading the resolution, Mr. Sheridan, I understand how what you're used to, but it's the consent agenda.
Well, I just sorry, this is the first time it's placed in front of me tonight, as I got my packet yesterday, that what we're doing here changed. I mean, there's nothing brought in front of us to show, hey, we're gonna do this way. You know, I mean, I understand the consent agenda was always read, or always is consented on, voted by the board on a consent agenda. But when you look at almost the entire package here that we're doing is read by the superintendent, and this board has a little consensus in it.
It just so happens that most of the thing is consent agenda.
But we still vote on it.
Okay. I just wanted to.
We still vote on every item. Mrs. Sorry?
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Dwight?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
Next.
Mr. Dewey, if I could, if I could just ask for a board vote to approve the administrative special education settlements with appropriate educational services per the settlement agreements on CM, KP, and KA.
CM. Yeah,
We did discuss those.
okay, and they could be there for discussion. On the question? On the question on settlements? Having been fully briefed in our executive session, I feel comfortable to call for roll call. Mrs. Orr?
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Oleski?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan?
Yes.
Mr. Casey?
Yes.
Mr. Dwight?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
Next, we have resolution authorizing the electronic signature of the superintendent. It's a perfunctory issue, but nonetheless required by law. For us to do this. Do I read that? Or is it?
We had discussed, this was your resolution to read.
I have to apologize, I need to find it.
We have it right here.
Thanks.
It's not my
It's
packet.
the bottom. Thank you.
There you go.
Whereas by authority of the Board of Directors of the Scranton School District, that Dr. Alexis Curian, who is the superintendent of the above-named body, is authorized and directed to sign any and all contract agreements, grants and/or licenses hereinafter collectively referred to as contracts with the Pennsylvania Department of Education. And whereas that the body consents to the use of electronic signatures by the above-named individual, and that no handwritten signature from the above-named individual shall be required in any order for any contract with the department to be legally enforceable, and that by affixing her electronic signature to an electronic file on the contact via the department's e-grant system, the above designated authorized individual shall have effectively executed and delivered the contract binding the Scranton School District to comply with the terms of said contract. And whereas that no writing shall be required in order to make the contract valid and legally binding, provided that the department and all other necessary Commonwealth approvers affix their signatures electronically, and an electronically printed copy of the contract is emailed or is otherwise made available to the body by electronic means, and whereas that the body will not contest the due authorization, execution, deliver, validity, or enforceability of the electronic contract under the provisions of the statute of frauds or any other applicable law. The contract, if introduced as evidence on paper in any judicial, arbitration, and mediation or administration proceedings, will be admissible as between the parties to the same extent and under the same conditions as other business records, originated and maintained in documentary form, and the admissibility thereof shall not be contested under either the business records exemption to the hearsay rule of the best evidence rule, and hereby be it resolved that the body will notify the Department's Bureau of Management Services promptly in the event that the above-named individual is no longer authorized to execute agreements on behalf of the body electronically, and that the Department shall be entitled to rely upon the above-named officer's authority to execute agreements electronically on behalf of the body until such notice is received by the Department's Office of Chief Counsel. Respectfully submitted. Comment or question? Having been seconded, Ms. Gore?
Mr. Martinelli?
Yes.
Mr. McAndrew?
Yes.
Mrs. Gillespie?
Yes.
Mr. Sheridan? Mr. Stevens?
Yes.
Mr. Duffy?
Yes.
Mr. Dwyer?
Yes.
7 affirmative.
Mr. Dewey, may I point out a point of order about the consent agenda?
Yes, Dr.
As I present the consent agenda and complete the readings of the consent agenda items, under the part of the agenda that says discussion and action, before the vote, any board member may elect to pull out one of the consent agenda items for further discussion, and we would move it down to that part of the agenda. They would vote on everything other than what we've pulled out, and then the board would have discussion and then take action individually on what they had pulled out and move down to discussion and action.
Thank you, Dr. Board committee reports. We have anything under athletics and stadium, Director Casey? Under budget and finance, Director Dunn, who is not here. Under technology, Director Alessi.
Not at this time.
Under education, Director Martinelli. Under food service, Director Rwan is not with us this evening. Mr. Sheridan. Health and safety, Mr. Duffy.
Nothing at this time.
Intergovernmental, Mr. McAndrew. Labor relations, Mr. McAndrew. Policy and legislative federal programs, Director Martinelli. Personnel, Director Sheridan. And public relations, Director Brown. That was Director Duffy.
Nothing at this time.
Under purchasing, Director Duffy.
Nothing at this time.
Buildings and grounds, Director Sheridan. Special education, Director Alessi.
Nothing at this time.
Vocational education, Director McAndrew. Transportation, Director Casey. And at this point in time, where we would normally entertain any ideas or input from directors, anything under new business.
I would just like to jump in and point out, under the consent agenda tonight, in policy I-1, that under Act 15, volunteers are required to have background certification, which is great, and then there's a mandated reporting requirement. I know it's not required that they receive training, but I think it would be beneficial for everyone to receive volunteers getting together and either, in some format, give them some type of training as to why, when, how. I don't think, on a whole, everybody will have that experience or that knowledge.
Yes, sir.
Point well taken, Director McAndrew. Possibly consider Dr. Curie come together with a volunteer training primer. District policies, employee policies, etc. Very good. Anyone else under new business? I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Second. Having been seconded, meeting adjourned.